what I'm fixing to do now is install these sling swivels, and this type are inletted down into the wood, down flush with that. Now normally it's 3 inches from the center of the end of the forearm to the center of that hole. This is a really short forend, and I'm going to go further out because my checkering is going to come up here, and it's supposed to have a point pattern that makes a point right there. I'm going to have to go around that, which I can make that happen, no problem, and then just put the points over here on the side. But to make the gun sit right on your shoulder, I'm going to put it about 2 inches from center to the front, which is about right there. And now this is something else that requires a fair amount of guesswork. It's hard to measure side to side and get the exact center. It's just hard. First thing you need to do is have your light in the middle, so that the shadows are thrown equally from both ways. You can take a ruler and put it in the middle, which the middle of this ruler is 3 inches, and then look down both sides. You can just, a lot of it is just, you're just looking at it. That's just all there is to it. You're looking at it, and your vision is all you got to go by. This ruler has cork on the back of it, and it sits where you tell it to. I'm going to put a line that's centered with this hole right here, and the line that I drew down here, and I'm going to draw a little light center line. If I can hold this ruler still. The cork on the back helps, but it's just hard to hold something still on slick sanded wood. Alright, that's going to help me in my checking as well as this. I'm going to put that line that I drew in the center, in the holes of this sling mount, and draw one clean line. A very clean line. Try to hold it down with my good hand. And get one really good clean mark around there. Considering the thickness of a pencil lead, you have to realize your mark is outside of that steel. So when you cut, you got to leave that pencil mark. You got to be kind of careful with this. There is a big hole right there, and it's kind of weak. You can crush that if you smash it too hard. I try to stay either in front of it or behind it or straddle it with a really good appropriate block, but I'm going to go behind it. You can see where the jaws are. All I'm going to do is just hold it in place. I'm not going to do any work on this. I'm just holding it in place to draw on it. And here again, you've got to just guess at the middle. I'm going to put me a mark on this rubber pad, which is going to get ground off and cleaned up pretty quick anyway. And then I'm going to guess at the center of this oval. And then I'm going to put a line. There's a gizmo, a little What am I trying to say? There's a jig. There's a jig that they make that'll center that up for you. I never have bought one. And it'll even drill the holes if you have a single screw hole. Now right here now, this one has a little bit of a burr as well. Right now I'm going to mark the front mount. I'm going to label it on the bottom, and I'm going to mark an arrow point pointing forward. And this one is the rear. And forward. The reason I do that is I get them in the same place every time. In the same place, in the same way. I orient everything the same way all the time. I even mark the screws. Alright, this one is the rear one, and that's forward. You can see what I did on the arrow point and the R. Now this is supposed to be 3 inches from the toe to the center. Which puts the middle of it right there. These are a little bit tricky because this is such a tight curve, and this has to go down in there. Okay. Now if you don't have a milling machine, you can actually do this with a Dremel. You can do it with a chisel. You can do it with hand carving tools. I have a mill, but I'm probably going to go ahead and just do this with a Dremel, because it might help more people to relate to what can be done. as anybody that uses power tools can tell you. I'm sorry, that's not in focus. There we go. Sorry about that. Every power tool that has a direction, like a skill saw that turns with the blade going, blade is going this way on a skill saw, on a drill usually forward. Every power tool has a direction, and a Dremel also has a direction, and those teeth are made to go in that direction and cut. So when you're going clockwise around a hole, the inside of a hole, those teeth are digging in. When you're going counterclockwise around the inside of a hole, they're not digging in, they're skipping over. It's not as aggressive. So when you're cleaning out a hole, when you freehanding it like that, if you'll go counterclockwise instead of clockwise, it won't dig and grab and all that. Now, my depth is pretty good. And that was just a swag, just a guess. I've got a little bit of wood right in the middle that needs to come out, but the depth is pretty good. And it's sitting fairly flat. It's just a teeny bit high on this side here. That's sitting pretty good. Now, the screws that they send with these things are from the pit and smell like smoke. These are machine screws. They're not wood screws. These little guys right here have a machine thread, and they got a little tiny slot of a head, which you're supposed to file down to fit that once you get it in there. But these screws are so soft that not only can you destroy that hole, that slot, because they're so tiny, you have to make a special bit to fit in that slot, which nowadays we have plenty of little bits like so that you can file down and make them fit. But the next thing is that slot runs so deep that half of your screw head will split off when you're trying to put the pressure in to put those threads in. If you simply drill a pilot hole, it won't cut those threads. You'll ruin the screw. So what I have done is I bought a tap. This is a weird size that they send with these. It's a, hang on, I'll get it. This is a 8/24 thread. It's an odd size. It's just strange. And so what I did, I bought a tap from McMaster Carr. That's about a $25 tap. Doesn't make sense to me. And then I made a bit that is extremely thin, and it fits in these screws. And I don't know why I've got two bits in here. Apparently I made an extra. So it takes a 1/8 inch pilot hole, and then run that tap in there, and you're actually tapping the wood as if you were tapping metal. Now you want to get this thing as lined up as possible.